to my nigga Dom. TruPlayaz, let's go. This that true player shit. We gon' make it live with Big Dom. How they gon' knock TruPlayaz shit? We gon' take it farther than beyond.
What's good, everybody? It's your man Big Dom coming live now from the TruPlayaz Podcast with my guest host JoeyG, Ricky Brown, once again on this episode of the TruPlayaz. We can't have an episode without having TruPlayaz on the podcast. We got all three of us here rapping, chit-chatting about a whole lot of things right now. The one thing I want to speak about is today we're going to talk about a little bit about religion. I'm going to go back into the future about 2010, January 12, 2010, when the earthquake hit Haiti, and a lot of religious people, quote unquote, said that the reason why Haiti was blessed with
Pat
the
Robertson.
Pat Robertson, yes, that's one of them. And Rush Limbaugh was another one, but he's an idiot. And there was another religious guy that did it that also said something about that too, who is right now a missionary in Haiti named Father Frank, a white guy who learned how to speak Creole, learned how to communicate with the people, doing great things in Haiti as far as missionary things are concerned. And for him to say that, I seen it recently on the group page that I'm on with the Haitian American group page on Facebook. I seen him mention that, and I kind of bothered me because how are you going to be a missionary to a country in which you do great things, but yet you said they made a pact with the devil to get the independence? And was it last time I checked, it wasn't God's will for people to be enslaved.
No.
So I'm kind of confused about the whole situation. Why would someone say that? Why would anyone from a religious standpoint say that? Because in the Bible I'm not saying there's been slavery in the Bible. If you look at Exodus, the Hebrews, and all that, there's been slavery going on in the Bible. But the point is that you got to treat your slaves properly. During that time of independence, during the time of Haitians' independence, during the time of the Civil War in 1860, the slaves were not treated right. Mm-hmm. So in God's word is if you're not being treated right, you have to revolt. In so many words, that's what God said. Mm-hmm. So that's what happened with Haiti. They revolted. They did a prayer, the Bayou Combo, with Bookman. That initiated the Haitian Revolution the first time under the leadership of Toussaint Louverture, which was not just the liberation of Haiti; it was a liberation of the entire Quisqueya, as people call it Hispaniola, but the real name is Quisqueya. So, I'm not going to go through the whole history of Haiti. Toussaint freed the entire island. It was one Haiti.
But you know what? I do want to be specific about one thing. They didn't make no pact with the devil. Right. They were practicing what we call as a spiritual system, voodoo. And what they did was they invoked a spirit. Voodoo means spirit. And they invoked a spirit, which means they invited a spirit to them. And that spirit was a Zili dancer. And that is one of the families of Loas in the voodoo spiritual system. I don't even want to call it a religion, because I almost feel like I'm disrespecting voodoo by calling it a religion.
Spirituality.
I was taught that a religion is your habits. It's what you always do. So if every time you walk through your front door, you close it back behind you and you lock that deadbolt, that is your religion. That is what you do every single day. That is what you do every time you walk through the door. That is your religion. Mm-hmm. And particularly in this day and age, religion has taken on a less significant meaning. And I'm just going to say that from my standpoint, I wasn't there, and I'm not a Haitian, so none of this was passed down to me orally. But I would think that being that they practiced a spiritual system that gave them inspiration, that comfort them through their trials and tribulations, They were going through a great tribulation.
Right.
And they had to invoke a spirit that they knew would help them get through this tribulation. Now, the whole Dantor family is, how do I explain this? It's not about good and bad. It's not about, benevolent and malevolent. It's more like hot and cold. It's more like black and white. Darkness and light. And neither one is good, neither one is bad, because there's good and bad. It's like the yin and the yang. It's all things, and it's what you bring out of what you're invoking that results in what results that you get when you invoke them. So what they did was they called on the family that was down. They said, "Hey, look, we got some shit going on here.
Right.
So, exactly.
We need to rise up. So we're gonna come to you. Think about it. Think about it like in The Godfather. I'm gonna come to you on the day of your daughter's wedding.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because I know you can help me get out of this situation."
Mm-hmm.
And for anybody to take this spiritual system and say that they made a pact with the devil, that's contemporary dogmatic Christian brainwashing that would have somebody in that mindset. Because as far as a brainwashed dogmatic Christian is concerned, that's pagan, what they were doing. And anything that's pagan, the word pagan means not Christian. Some people expand it to say not Christian or Jewish. But if you want to be technical, Judaism is pagan because they're not they're not believers in Christ.
Right.
But they try to include them in their umbrella, so they'll say, okay, pagan is not Christian or Jewish.
Right.
I wouldn't put them to bring Muslims into the fray, but we got a couple hundred years for that.
Right.
But my point is, it's by having this mindset where everything that's not us is wrong.
Right.
Is it's akin to the white supremacist mentality.
Right.
Anything that's not white is not right.
Right.
So in the Christian mindset, in the dogmatic Christian mindset, anything that's pagan is satanic or devil worship. And it's funny to hear, particularly a priest, someone who's supposed to be learned, someone who is supposedly that has studied, to say that they made a pact with the devil. Which devil did they make a pact with? Because, you ask the average Christian, about Satan, about the devil, about Lucifer, and they'll tell you that they're all three the same thing when they're not. Lucifer is a fallen, a fallen messenger, like someone, and not just anybody, but the top one, like whatever position he held, whatever hierarchy you want to call them, he was the top one, and he fell hard.
Mm-hmm.
But a devil and a Satan, those are two different things.
Mm-hmm.
A Satan is an accuser, a devil is an enemy.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're, if I walk up to the average person on the street, I would expect them to not be able to make that distinction. But if you're a priest, you don't get much closer to the Catholic Church than being an actual priest. How can you not be able to make that distinction? Or are you just saying what you think people need to hear in order to get what you want, which is more quote unquote souls for your cause?
Right.
Or it could be in a position of, I'm doing my studies and I'm going according to the book and not going outside of that book.
Get the fuck out of here. I'm sorry, he should have known. Okay, in my humble opinion, there's only two ways we can look at this. Either he knows and he's putting out bullshit, or he don't know and he's full of shit.
Right.
That's what it boils down to. Honestly, that was the perfect way to put it, but I had to put it out there because I'm going to give you the perspective of the person that's in those shoes trying to give you that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give you that.
But you know what the late great Dick Gregory said about Haiti. If you ever look on one of his YouTube videos, how I spoke about Haiti. Haiti believed in the universal God, which is nature.
Yes. And
so his response was, if I remember the video vaguely, I remember what he said is, the Haitians made a prayer to the universal God to help them achieve the independence that they sought. It wasn't pagan, it wasn't devilish, it wasn't a pact. They prayed to the God that gave them the spiritual God, because a lot of religion is a vehicle to control the masses. It is not spirituality. I'm gonna tell you right now, I am a practicing Catholic, but I'm a spiritual Catholic. I'm willing to recognize the rights and wrongs of the Catholic religion openly. A lot of people who are religious Catholics, they don't see the wrong in Catholicism. They only see the right. So,
the truth's told.
The truth is told, and when you go speak to a priest and then you ask them who's the real name, what's the real name of Christ?
Mm-hmm.
They'll tell you it's Jesus or Jesus, and we all know that is not his name. His name is Joshua, which is in Hebrew is Yeshua.
Wow.
So the Jesus name was given by the Greek writer of the New Testament, because the Old Testament is based on.
And what was the name of their main god?
Zeus.
How about that?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Zeus.
Yeah.
Right.
Now
the Greeks had their own gods too.
Mm-hmm. There are many gods. They what's it called? Not polygamy, but it was more like many. They worship many gods. Each god had a role. You know what I'm saying?
Demigods.
Yeah.
Polytheistic.
Polytheistic. There you go. Mm-hmm. Late at night, fellas. Late at night. But
it's okay.
But the reason I mention that is because of the turmoil that's going on in Haiti, and it seems like all these so-called religious people are blaming it on the pact of a devil. That Haiti's going through the turmoil it's in right now. It's always an economic dysfunction, governmental dysfunction, as well as right now, this thing's going on in Haiti right now, which they're burning. The police is in a fight with the government because they're not getting paid enough. Right before Carnival. This is Carnival season for Haiti. It's supposed to be starting right now, where you see all the floats, people dancing, having a great time, enjoying Carnival, enjoying the mass that goes on in my parents' country right now. And right now it's being interrupted because of social unrest. And it has nothing to do with Pact of the Devil. It has everything to do with discord.
Right. It has everything to do with a pack of devils trying to get at the Haitian natural resources.
Exactly.
And in order to do that, I mean, do we really want to send tanks and F-14s to one of these so-called tourist nations on this side of the hemisphere? Or are we going to do it slowly and assassinate the characterization of that island and of those people and make them look like they're less than nothing? And then when we come in, guess what we are?
Right.
The
saviors.
Right. But check it out. They don't do that.
The Savior is Messiah, but don't get me started.
Right. But keep in mind one thing though. They don't do that in Dominican Republic. They control the Dominican Republic by Major League Baseball. You laugh, but it's facts.
I'm laughing because it's facts.
They give you like, when we get into these situations, there's like they give you the 4 Ds. They dismiss you, they discredit you, they demonize you, then they destroy you.
Facts. And how many times has Haiti has been demonized throughout the entire hemisphere. Especially from our neighbors from the east side of that island.
Yeah.
Demonized because they don't know the true history. They being told the history as if Haiti purposely occupied them for the sake of just occupying them. And where in essence is Haiti initially freed Dominican Republic initially.
Now, I get all of that.
Mm-hmm.
I get all of that, and I go back to the way we were raised and how we went to high school when we were on the wrestling team and we had peers and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ask me to choose.
Right.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Y'all both my brothers.
Ask me to choose, I'm probably not going to choose you.
Right.
And on top of that, if I feel like I'm pressured to choose, I might not choose shit.
Right.
And I'm not choosing either. I got cousins who are half Dominican.
Right. I mean,
you know what I'm saying? It's not about Haitians versus Dominicans. It's just that a certain portion of Dominican people hold Haiti in a negative regard because of the occupation that happened. But how long are you going to hold on to that?
Let's not get it twisted. It's also pushed on them to do that.
Exactly.
Right.
It's pushed on them to do that. They're following suit, kind of like racists in the South, rednecks. well, my parents were telling me this over here. You know what I'm saying?
It starts when you're very young.
Right.
Come on, I know this from experience.
That's the best time to do it. That's the best time to indoctrinate anyone is when they're young.
Right.
So
you don't know no better.
Your bedtime stories. You know, if I could make sure that you get it in the language. I mean, remember Martin Luther King said, look in your dictionary and see the synonyms of the word black. It's always something ugly and evil. And look at the word white. It's always something high, pure, and clean. You know, if we can get this in the language, if we can get this ingrained into your mentality,
right?
We don't have to tell you that everything black is wrong. We ain't got to say that everything with Haiti is wrong because we've already indoctrinated you, and you were able to put 2 and 2 together, and you see that it makes 4.
Right.
You know, and then you teach your kids that, and their kids teach their kids that. Now the actual accountable party that started that indoctrination is long dead and gone, generations past.
Exactly.
You ever try to wake somebody in a deep sleep? You ever had somebody try to wake you from a deep sleep?
Yeah, it happened to me many times.
I think it took a couple more years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, back into that dreamland?
Mm-hmm.
I think it took a couple more years, but that's a different story.
But the thing is that we're talking about Haiti and Dominican Republic and all the turmoil that goes on, the fighting between both countries. What seemed to be lost is that we are all Taino.
Right. That whole area.
From Haiti to Puerto Rico, we are all Taino. The only difference between us is the language.
And Cuba.
And Cuba, yeah. The only difference is the language. That's the only difference.
That takes me back. You know, the only difference is the language of your occupier, because what you did was you took on the language of your occupier. Because at one point the Tainos were all speaking the same language, and it was mutually intelligible with all the rest of the Antilles because they were all Arawak people. The Arawak is just an umbrella term for a group of tribes, kind of like how Israel is an umbrella term for these 12 tribes. You had the Levites, the Canaanites, you had all these different tribes of people that came together to make Israel. Because Israel was always a people. It was never a place. It was always a people.
Never a place.
Would you consider the Shawnee tribe same?
So the Arawak is the amalgamation of all of those islands, all the way to Suriname.
Mm-hmm.
There were Arawaks on the mainland, the ones that were right there at the water. So their languages were mutually intelligible, although the Tainos spoke like this. It's no different than, look at us. We're in 3 different places.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Atlanta, Baltimore, New York.
In Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
We come together.
Atlanta, Baltimore, and New York. And the way that they speak in Atlanta is not the same way that they speak in Baltimore. The way they speak in Baltimore is not the same way that they speak in New York. But we all speak in English. All speak in American, so to speak.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. And that's what's been lost upon, because when the vehicles like religion is used to divide people, this is what happens.
It's not just that, though.
It's not just religion, but it's one of the elements.
It's one of the elements.
It's one of the key elements.
One of the key elements.
We're still dealing with a predominantly white supremacist mentality,
right?
Which is why all the images of the deities are pale faced, blonde hair, and blue eyed. You know what I mean? Like it's the religion is just a vehicle to drive that message and ingrain it into people. Because it's supposed to be what you're doing every single day.
Exactly.
I'm gonna fall back from calling anti-Semitist and things of that nature. I'm gonna go to separatists, because that's what it boils down to. I want everything in their boxes. So if I have everything in their boxes, I can keep you separated, and I can make my agenda flow the way I need it to flow. If you're on this side and you're on that side, I know exactly what's going on, so I can move freely through both of y'all. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. It's a separatist agenda. Let's fall back from the racist stuff and the labels, because if you really boil it down, it's just a separatist movement.
Exactly.
It is. But see, now the whole thing about the white supremacist agenda, it's not even about the elevation of the white race. It's about the elevation of a select few.
Mm-hmm.
If I go out here right now and I find 5 white people, I could find more in common with the first 5 white people I meet than I have in common with someone like Jay-Z, or someone like Mark Curry, or someone like LL Cool J. You know, these are people who have way more than I have, but the average white American, I got more in common with them than I do these close to 1%ers. You know,
it's true, because you know why? Because we're on the same economic boat,
right?
And the thing, and the thing is that what people don't realize is that I read recently that Haiti, as well as many other nations in the Caribbean, are descendants of the tribe of Levi.
Okay.
So the 12 tribes has extended all the way to the Western Hemisphere.
Yes, it has, because they spread out.
Right.
There's a tribe in India.
Mm-hmm.
Bene Israel.
Mm-hmm.
They found now the Star of David is a alchemic symbol. However, they found symbols of the Star of David in ruins in the Grand Canyon. It's no secret. I mean, this takes me back to that Facebook post that I had. DuPont de Sabal.
Yeah.
John DuPont de Sabal. The way the story goes was like they waited for that revolution. They waited for Napoleon to show up. Once Napoleon showed up, they literally chased his ass up the Mississippi.
Right.
And all those occupied areas along the side of the Mississippi still to this day have the Spanish names, because they were owned by Spain. They're still called the Carolinas. They're still today called Georgia. They're still today called Florida. This was Spanish territory. He had to make a deal with them that, hey, I got to get the hell up out of here. I got like 12 ships of these crazy niggas following me. And they my head.
Right.
And it did.
But the beautiful part of you see how the history is so twisted that America would never acknowledge that Haiti is the reason why they were able to go west.
They were the first here.
Yeah.
They were the first here.
Yeah. Without Haiti, without 1804, there would be no westward movement. There would be no Mississippi, Chicago in the United States. But we want to say they want the so-called white people, they call themselves the liberators. And I'm sure you guys heard it on previous podcasts. What I said is that Mr. George Washington, the first president of the United States, was losing the damn revolution. He was getting his ass kicked up and down the fucking 13 colonies.
Made that call to Toussaint.
No, he actually made the call to Napoleon. Napoleon sent Toussaint to Savannah, Georgia. Touchdown, Savannah, Georgia, and everything changed.
Mm-hmm.
So let's not forget about that. You know, the reason why I mentioned this is because I think that it's not about Haiti. It's about how the true first men of the world, which is the black people, the true first men,
right,
are continually get attacked, treated as if we're low, treated as if we're nothing, but really we're the first men. I remember me and Ricky were speaking up before we started the podcast how the difference between Nefertiti and Cleopatra.
Okay.
Yeah, because what a lot of people don't understand is that Egypt was always two lands, or what we today call Egypt was two lands. You had in the north you had Lower Egypt, which was known as Kemet, and in the south you had Upper Egypt, which was known as Memphis or Memphis. Is where that city in Tennessee got its name from.
Mm-hmm.
And once those lands were united, and this is one of the biggest mysteries of history that nobody talks about, was what was that land called once it was united?
Right.
You know, but at some point they united that land. After that land got united, the Greeks took it over and they called it Egypt, or they called it Egyptos, which means south of the Aegean Sea.
Right.
And they installed their own rulers. I mean, Alexander, he was more focused on conquering the whole known world. Like, fuck this. This is just a landing spot. He landed in Egypt. He built this little city. He named it after himself, and he started heading east until he ran into them damn elephants. And them elephants said, "Fuck your phalanx, nigga. We just gonna stop."
And this. Go ahead.
So after Alexander died, Ptolemy took over Egypt. And this is when you started hearing about things called pharaohs. Prior to that, they never called their rulers pharaohs. Pharaoh means like information or library or some shit like that. They didn't call their leaders pharaohs. They called their leaders like the morning and the evening star. You know, the sun, moon, and star. Like they had all these sycophantic type titles for their leaders. You know, they weren't just kings. You know, they were the seed of Ra. You know, the eye of Horus. You know, they were phrases and embellished titles. They didn't just call them the king. It'd be too simple. Why would
they were rappers?
Well,
they were rappers.
They really were. They really were, because the shit was poetic and it was romantic, you know, kind of like the Romance languages, you know. You know, they embellished. You know, what good is it to call you a king when everybody in this nation was already born kings?
Right.
But that's another podcast.
What up, King?
But now we're gonna segue to we're gonna talk about the Bible now. We're gonna go into the Bible in a minute. The true essence of the podcast is to speak about the Bible, the Old Testament, which is divided between three books: the Torah, the prophets, and the writings.
But yeah, you got the law, the Torah,
yeah.
The law.
You got the law, you got the prophets, and you got the writings.
Right. Exactly. And the biggest the dispute of when we speak about the Bible is where did it really reside at? We got a lot of people saying the writers of the Bible plagiarized Africa, this, that, and the other. They didn't plagiarize Africa. In my opinion, they said how the Bible started in Africa. If you look at it closely, it started in Africa.
Okay, you're not wrong. The Bible did start in Africa, but
Right.
putting the Bible together itself took place outside of Africa. Putting it together took place at the Council of Nicaea. Well, now, excuse me, we're talking New Testament when we talk Council of Nicaea,
Right.
but the Old Testament, the law, the writings, and the prophets. This was an amalgamation, and I mean an actual amalgamation of different cultures.
Right.
I mean, in the Torah itself, they have been able to identify, and these were people who had no real knowledge of studying ancient African religions. They were able to piece together that, hey, there's pretty much 3 different sources here that they plagiarized in order to put this together. This is why you have contradictions in the Bible. This is why, in Genesis chapter 1, it says this happened on the first day and this happened on the second day. But when you get to chapter 2, it says, no, this happened on the third day and that happened on the 5th day.
Right.
Why? Because it came from 2 separate cultures. And in my humble opinion, it's dangerous to try to force an amalgamation of all religions.
Right.
At the end of the day, most religions and most spiritual systems pretty much say the same thing: do good and good will come to you. Don't steal, don't cheat, don't lie, don't kill. All that good stuff.
Right.
Somebody asked me. I showed them I had a copy of the Quran. They're like, "Are the 10 Commandments in the Quran?" I'm like, "Technically." Like it's not in there as the 10 Commandments, but it's in the Quran. You know what I mean? It's in the I Ching. I could pull out the Book of Mormons and find the 10 Commandments. It's not written down as the 10 Commandments because the Book of Mormons is supposed to be a continuation after the Bible, so they're not just going to repeat what's already in the Bible. But technically, there's somewhere in there where it says don't steal. It's somewhere in there where it says respect your parents. It's somewhere in there where it says don't covet and be jealous of what somebody else has.
Gotcha.
At the core, most of them all say the same thing. Outside the Abrahamic, you look at Hinduism, you look at Taoism, you look at Buddhism.
Taoism.
Buddhism is all about taking yourself to your highest level.
Right.
It's not about dying to get to a nirvana.
Right.
Nirvana within yourself and becoming a Buddha. Siddhartha Gautama was just the term Buddha just means enlightened one. It's a title, like Christ is a title.
Mm-hmm.
Your goal is to become a Buddha.
Good stuff, guys. Good stuff. Now, but the place where they call Israel, we could all agree with something that they just said that happened there, this, that, and the other. But if you look at the first 5 books, you look at the book of Moses, everything happened in Egypt. There was no Palestine or Israel. Israel is the people, not the land.
Israel was always the people. It was never a location. It was never a place.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It was never a place. And what's funny, we were having this conversation before we had the podcast. I got a theory that Egypt that we know today is not the Egypt of the Bible, because if you look at the Torah untranslated, the land that the Hebrews were enslaved in was called Mizraim. And Hebrew is funny. The Hebrew language is funny when it comes to singular and plural nouns. Mizraim specifically means 2 lands, or
Right.
land of 2 lands. Mizir means One means land. It means one singular land. And then I forget what the other term is, but there's a term for three or more. It's like God. God is Eli is two gods, and Elohim is group of gods. So that's something to think about next time you see Elohim, because it means three or more gods. It doesn't just mean God.
Right.
Eli means two gods. The last words Jesus said on the Christ was Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. He's talking it specifically to individuals. Why have you two forsaken me?
Mm-hmm.
But see, you're not supposed to know that because you don't speak that language. It's been translated and given to you.
They told you what it was. They told you this is how it is.
This is how it is. That's it. That's it.
Say? Just like they say his name is Jesus.
Exactly.
It is what it is. Don't ask too many questions.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
You tell someone of that ilk, Yeshua ben Joseph, they look at you like, how'd you know? Who spoke to you? I just studied it, and I put two and two together when I read the Bible. The Bible, if you read the Bible, you read it closely. You read it three, 4 times over. You see the truth in it. You see contradictions, but you'll see the truth in it.
You will.
The Bible, if you look close, the Bible told you that the Messiah's name is not Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
It's Joshua.
Right.
Or they say Yeshua. They tell you that in the Bible.
But they give you the Bible gives you different perspectives from different people's points of views at the time.
See, I think that kind of takes me back to and Joe, you wasn't a part of that conversation, but I was saying, I'm not a big fan of science either, because science is full of more shit than any religion is. But
let's don't go Tom Cruise on me, okay? Don't go.
I'm not gonna go Tom Cruise. I'm not gonna go Tom Cruise. See, the thing about science is, science likes to back things up with evidence, with proof.
What
they consider facts.
But make sure there's no law that says you can't talk to me anymore if I don't agree with you, okay?
Right.
I just want to say that. Okay, good.
but see, now here's the thing, though. The deeper you start digging into science, the more you start finding out that we don't know half of the shit that we know. We know that. Yeah. we know that if we drop something, it will fall down, and that's what we call gravity. But what is actually pulling it down? What is causing that tidal force? And they try to explain it through physics, but everything is theoretical.
Right.
So once again, just like in religion, you're starting to rely on something called faith.
Right.
And you rely on that faith because, it's not that you have to rely on that faith. People feel a little more comfortable with science because A, B, and C has been proven, but D through Z has not.
Mm-hmm.
But they'll say, well, you know what? They prove A, B, and C.
Right.
So
we can see that. We can feel it.
Right. We can bear witness to that. Well,
right.
I mean, at the time, and this might shock y'all that I'm the type of person that's going to say this. You ever seen somebody wheel themselves in a wheelchair into one of those tent revivals and then walk out of the tent revival on a wheelchair at the altar, at the pulpit? It's the same faith that they put into that science. They instead of it being put into science, that faith is being put into something else. And guess what? Out of that wheelchair and they walked.
Listen, my scientific way of thinking says that's bullshit.
As a matter of fact, I was just reading. It's funny you mentioned that, Ricky. That same scenario. Because I actually read that in the book of Luke, not the book of John, this morning.
What about
about the guy who couldn't walk? He ended up walking out the temple. He goes into the temple. He's not walking. He walks out the temple after he gets whatever happens, he gets cured. And then, like you said, it just confirms faith. When Jesus said that his faith has made him well.
Yeah, how about that?
If you if you go into the definition of faith from the Bible, what you just said will make you laugh.
It's quote unquote evidence of things not seen.
Right.
The evidence of things quote unquote hoped for.
Right.
So now you hoping that you can walk.
It's the same thing you said as far as science. Science is pretty much the same thing.
You're working on a lot of faith, and don't get me wrong, there's a big chunk of stuff that science can prove that you don't need any faith to be able to prove it. Because if you take a ball and release it from your hand, you're going to see it drops. So you're going to say, okay, gravity does exist.
Correct.
Here's where I fucked up. Here's where I fucked up my physics teachers in school. Because they said gravity is a constant. Gravity is until something acts on gravity, it's constant. Okay, so you're telling me that the moon is caught in the Earth's gravitational pull. That means at some point the moon is going to collide with the Earth, right? No, not what I meant. Well, that's what you said. You said gravity was constant. At some point, the moon has to collide with the Earth if it's caught in the Earth's gravitational pull. And at some point, Earth is going to collide with the sun if the Earth is caught in the sun's gravitational pull.
Right.
No, it doesn't work like that. Well, either it works like that because that's the definition that you gave me, or it doesn't work like that. Which one is it?
Right.
Class dismissed.
Class dismissed, guys. We have nothing to say. We are not worthy.
Fucked it up for everybody.
Messed that whole shit up. Watch out now. The religious police will come after you. So, yeah, man. So,
Tyson with him because I got questions.
Listen, we all got a lot of questions. Are we gonna get a straight answer or not? That's all that matters.
We'll never get a straight answer. Never a straight answer. Always something to keep you guessing.
Yeah.
Well, definitely not in this carnal form that we in right now.
Or the Adjustment Bureau may come and talk to you a bit.
Listen, they can adjust. I'm still gonna have questions.
Listen, you don't want the guys with the hats come with the mysterious doors come talk to you. But
did you just flashy thing me?
It's getting late at night, and I'm getting exhausted here. But we can keep going. So I'm a trooper. We just a TruPlayaz Podcast. You can't be a true player without a trooper. So we gonna get this podcast done properly. I don't care. We talking about good stuff, that things that people need to open. The eyes need to be open. So I think to this day, it's 2020. So there's still 85% of people whose minds are closed.
Listen, this conversation could be a 365 days in a year, and we'll never get we'll never get the full circumference that we're looking for. But at the same time, what we do put out there, I know it will provoke some ears.
Mm-hmm. And then I just provoked some ears earlier. The podcast said the black men were the first men of the world, but don't tell nobody that.
Science and religion both say that.
Boom.
Look, they might both be full of shit, but you put the two together and you read between the lines, you can see through the lies. Like, I mean, let's look at science. Science says that the oldest bones found was what, Lucy, right, in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere in East Africa. Mm-hmm. By the Fertile Crescent, the cradle of, near the cradle of civilization, just a couple 100 miles. Means at some point, motherfuckers walked and built some shit.
Right.
That's science. And religion, let's look at it biblically. In the dust of the earth. Well, what color is earth?
Blue.
Go outside.
Exactly.
If you don't know, just go outside. You know, pull back the grass. What color is it underneath that grass?
Black. Black.
What color was that man that was made out of that dust?
Black.
How Joe Pesci said it. Blick.
So, anything else you want to add to the podcast? I felt we add a lot of stuff to this particular episode. We could add more, but
I mean, there'll be a part two.
Go ahead, Joe.
I was just gonna say we could do a part two. It's nothing to throw that together.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to close this one out just on that.
No, we're not gonna close. We don't close none of our podcasts because what we do is on TruPlayaz Podcast. We're not scripted. We're not structured. We have conversations. If you're not comfortable having a conversation, then get the fuck off the damn podcast. Close your ears, motherfuckers. Shit.
Close your windows.
Stop living your life in a structured manner. Live your life as God wants you to live, which is be free, live freely, and be smart.
I just want to be able to argue with somebody and walk away and then talk to them the next day. That's it.
Exactly. It's okay to disagree. Disagreements don't start wars. Stupid people start wars.
I'm just saying. Y'all some sensitive bitches.
Especially them racist motherfuckers. So they're the most. It does not exist, motherfucker. What type of blinders you wearing, motherfucker?
I was just talking to my wife the other day, and I had to tell her. I said, I think I look at the world through comedian eyes, because everything, I could find a joke in everything, and I could find the seriousness in it, but at the same time, I'm not going to take it to heart. And it puts me in a different category than everybody else, because most people, outside of who we're talking to right now, catch feelings on discussions that we have. We have to have a certain side. We have to have a particular view on things. And no, nigga, I don't agree with you. I don't agree with you. It's just that simple.
That doesn't mean we're not friends.
Right. I mean, outside of that, we cool. I mean, you drink beer, I drink beer. You drink alcohol, I drink alcohol. We do that.
You like white rum, I like dark rum. Okay.
Right. Okay, that's what's up. We like rum.
Like rum. That's the common denominator. We both like rum.
All I want to know is why the rum's gone. Why is the rum gone? That's what I want to know.
That's why. This is the reason why I decided to create this podcast, because we can go off on a tangent on a podcast and ain't no one gonna say shit about it. It's just
that's how it's supposed to be.
Realness.
That's how it's supposed to be. If I'm on your podcast, if I'm on my podcast, it don't fucking make a difference. The same dynamics is gonna happen.
Exactly.
Same dynamics.
I know a lot of these people wait for our podcast in regards to the Wilder and Fury fight. Trust me, that shit is coming.
It's coming.
That shit is coming. And to tell you the truth, the rules of engagement, I will do that after my court date. So I will not say nothing derogatory about the police department until my court date is done. Okay, guys? So I am on my best behavior, because I don't want to get no points on my license. I actually want to get that shit whole dismissed. But we live in a greedy world, which they can still give me. They're still gonna see me for my paper anyway. No matter if I get 0 points or 2 points, they're gonna see me for my paper.
All I gotta say is, you're living dangerously.
All time you're living too dangerous for we.
I know. Until someone could sit there and look me dead in the face and explain to how you calculate someone's speed by the winds of your mirrors and shit like that.
Yo, that dude was just like this.
By the way,
he going too fast.
By the way, in both of those traffic stops, it was the cop that violated more laws than I did. That's the worst part. Tailgate me the first time is tailgating me and hitting and rear-ending me, which I should have had to call the NASCAR police and Okay, I'm speaking too much. But anyway, like I said, I got
Case
to
is pending.
case pending. Yes, I must shut my mouth. But anyway, and in the second traffic stop, the dude didn't even have his headlights on. It was pitch dark outside.
Oh, dude was creeping.
Yeah. That's exactly what he's doing. He knew what he was doing. Because he got the badge. Okay, Dominic, I need to stop. Court date. We can talk about it after the court date's done.
Someone please call 911.
I promise you guys. I promise the listeners of the TruPlayaz Podcast. When the court date is done, I will unleash the dragon on that part 2 of Rules of Engagement.
Oh,
I'm
ready for that.
And I probably will get another ticket 2 weeks after. After that, for whatever. Now it could be a freaking busted taillight, which they probably kicked my taillight before I removed my car. But that's not, like I said, my court date, guys. My court date. Also, next episode, for the little listeners, we're going to talk about Kobe Bryant, the beautiful ceremony they had at the Staples Center today. I will talk about that. So, I will talk about that. There'll be an episode about that. Like I said, I don't want to go too much into the episode on this particular episode of the podcast, but I commend Vanessa Bryant for her courage and strength throughout the heartache that she's going through right now, losing her husband that she loves so much, losing her daughter that she birthed into this world in such a way that it could have been prevented if proper protocols was met on that day. So, if you guys want to join me in that podcast, we can also do a podcast about that also. A lot of people spoke at the service, but like I said, that'd be another episode. And
nice.
Like I said, so part two on religion is coming soon. I want to thank everybody who listened to the podcast. I may be a little bit sleepy now, but tomorrow I'll be more awake tomorrow. At least I hope so. if my plantation of Glen Cove Hospital doesn't kill me tomorrow, I'll probably have more energy to do the podcast on Tyson Fury and Wilder fight tomorrow. But we'll see what happens when those slave masters crack the whip on me from 3 to 11. They call it health care, my ass. They call it slave care. Make the nigga work harder than anybody else. Yeah, I'm calling out Glen Cove Hospital because I think I call out Glen Cove, the whole entire fucking community. Something wrong with y'all up there in Glen Cove, yo. You got a bunch of too much Targaryen dynasties going on up in there. I can't stand that fucking community. I can't stand it. I hate it. I've been working with them. I'm going on 11 years. I can't. Let me tell you something, guys. We're all from Uniondale originally, and we always talk shit about how Uniondale's all fucked up and shit like that. Go stay in Glen Cove. Go up to Glen Cove for a whole year and work there for a whole year. Realize that Uniondale is very normal. Hempstead is normal.
Wow. Roosevelt's normal.
Oh, exactly.
Roosevelt's normal.
The quintuple of power: Westbury, Roosevelt, Uniondale, Freeport, and Hempstead.
Yep.
Normal compared to Glen Cove.
You want to see abnormal come to be more?
No, I think Glen Cove will make be more normal too. Trust me.
Nah, bruh.
I'll switch. Jacksonville, go back.
Listen. I'm gonna be straight. I'm gonna share with you guys. Any place that has a Targaryen dynasty, there's something wrong with that picture there, man. You better run. We can't have.
I hear the bells.
Fuck that! You hear the bells. You got a whole bunch of Viserys and Mad Kings going up in that motherfucker. It's a problem. Shout out to my man Viserys. He got his crown.
Okay.
and truth is, Ricky, I got on our brother Joel over this. We never did a recap of episode 6 of Game of Thrones. We never did an episode about that shit. I guess it was the whole fucking disappointment of the whole season 8 that we didn't even bother doing it.
Hey, how did you get past season 3? I mean, episode 3.
Right.
I mean, that was the last good episode, wasn't it?
That was a great episode. It could have been
That's
much
what I'm saying.
better.
It was the last good one, wasn't it?
Yeah, then my wife Daenerys went crazy in 4, 5, and 6. All of a sudden, like the Thanos snap. Yo, she was
heard
like,
the bells.
she heard the no, she got the Thanos
You
snap.
listening to that RZA freestyle? Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
That beautiful woman should be alone. I mean, she wanted to fuck her nephew so bad, yo. He should just give it a D and just call it a day. The power would have stopped it from burning down the whole fucking King's Landing. But like I said, we didn't do a recap on that episode. It's too late now to do it. It's been like months past the fact. It's been a new year.
It's been a year.
Yeah, it's been a year. It's been a fucking year. What's the purpose? I just keep watching. I keep watching the whole season.
I'm about to say we just reviewed it. It sucked.
I mean, who would have thought a cripple would be the king of Westeros? And even though
there's more to that story.
But I think you know, now we're doing a freaking recap of Game of Thrones, and I'm trying to go to sleep. But anyway, we'll continue. We're gonna continue on. Because that's what we do with TruPlayaz Podcast. We flip the script, and we just did that now. But truth be told, Bran the Broken has controlled the entire 8 seasons of Game of Thrones.
Right.
He was He was the chess player putting all the pawns in position.
Right. Yeah.
The 3-eyed raven.
Yeah, the other 3-eyed raven probably figured it out before he died.
But yeah,
that's why Fat Boy had to hold the door.
Right. Hold the door.
He did. He had a seizure. Hold the door.
Hold the door. Hold the door.
Hold door. But you know, and the one thing I must explain about the lapses of the season 8 of Game of Thrones is that they never explained what happened to Uncle Benjen after he got caught up in that episode. Was it episode 5 or 6?
That's a whole different series.
Remember when he saved John and John came out the freaking cold ass water?
Yeah.
And he put him on his horse, and then he left with the swinging candle, candle shit. We don't know what happened to it afterwards.
Right.
We know what happened to him afterwards. We just don't know what happened to him until he got to that point where he came through swinging the candle on the horse.
Well, right, but he was fighting the Night Walkers, the White Walkers, to help John run away.
But he himself was kind of like a White Walker. He was discolored and everything like that.
Yeah, he was in between.
He was in between, kind of like John when he came back.
Well, I don't know, the book said when John came back to life, he doesn't have a heartbeat.
I was about to say John was undead.
Yeah. He
wasn't dead. He wasn't alive. He was undead.
How you be undead with compassion?
See this is the argument why we have to recap it and realize that how DB Weiss and Benioff fucked up the last season. It was all set in stone. Let John be Azor Ahai. That was his character build up. Now they try to make excuses that the Azor Ahai happened in episode 6. Are you fucking serious? That's what they're saying now. He actually fulfilled the Azor Ahai prophecy. How?
How, Slay?
I'll tell you something, guys. I want to do an episode about Game of Thrones. What I would do to rewrite the whole season 8, and I'll be honest with you, it wouldn't be 8 seasons, it'd be 10 seasons. Because there's a lot of intricate stories that need to be explained. Plus, they tease us with Gendry when Gendry became Lords of Storm's End. It opened up a whole other door. That's a whole other story.
There was a whole potential for a season right there.
Right.
That's all his story. And if you look at season 1, when you remember the conversation Cersei had with Robert Baratheon in his what do you call it, his chambers or whatever, talking about their first son. Did they ever see a body of the dead son?
Not that I recall.
And why did Jamie Lannister make that expression on his face when it was mentioned that he was the Robert Baratheon's bastard?
His bastard.
Bastard.
Did you see the look on Jamie's face? It said so much. He's like, "Yo, wait a minute." You know when you're related to somebody by looking into their eyes. No, seriously. You know you're related to somebody if you look into their eyes. And the expression that Jimmy had on his face, he was like, "What the? Nah, that can't be." Which opens up a whole. Like I said, there's got to be another episode for that. We guys gonna have an episode about that. So now you open up a whole other claim to the Iron Throne now by doing that.
All I'm saying is he should have been on the Iron Throne from the jump, but
Who, Gendry or John?
Gendry.
You know they're all cousins though.
True.
Robert's rebellion. You fought your uncle. You fought your second cousin. So the fuck is your second cousin? Come on, man.
You do realize like there's a huge parallel there with the War of the Roses, and how the whole Windsor family came into power. Wow, you know what? I gotta do some research.
Let's do a podcast.
Like, I'm just realizing that.
Let's do a podcast. Could be another episode. I just wish I had more time. See, the plantation called Glen Cove Hospital has drained my energy each time I walk in there. But anyway, you know.
Well, let's close it out.
We're gonna close it out. Before we're gonna be talking. We're brothers. We're gonna be talking for 3 hours on this podcast about all types of shit. Then we lose the whole focus of our particular episode.
Hey, we can talk it out. I just want your tape to be about what you're talking about.
Yes, because we going from Haiti to religion and then just the Game of Thrones all in one episode. I you know. Listen,
true player shit.
That's some true player shit. But keep in mind, though, if we were live, we had 6 hours to talk about certain things. Could we honestly stick on one subject for 6 hours? Think
6 hours is a long time.
Exactly. 4 or 5 hours on one subject for 4 or 5 hours.
I think we could do that, but I'm just saying 6 hours is a long time.
It's a tough time.
It would have to be an umbrella subject,
right?
Like, there would have to be a whole lot under that umbrella.
See, that's what it's all about. What our dream is to try to create our own radio station. So we got to keep it popping.
I mean, we could do that. We have potential to do that right now.
Do it, man. We gotta do it, man, because there's nothing
Right
more
now-
beautiful.
Right now, I'm working on the radio aspect of it, trying to get the playlist together and everything like that, and everything working on that end. Once we get the podcast and the shows together, then that's going in there too. I just have to increment that into the regular playlist.
Definitely. Like I said, everyone's dream in life. I'm ending like this. Everyone's dream in life is to be their own checks and balances. If we don't have that, if we don't have the ability of being our own checks and balances, we're all going to be miserable. We're all going to be stressed because we're getting tired of answering the people who we feel are beneath us in mind, spirit, and body. And that's what I'm dealing with at Glen Cove Hospital, my frustration as an employee, which I'm just gonna do. I'm gonna do a whole podcast about that shit on my own. If you guys want to join me in that podcast, I would love to speak on it. As an employee of Glen Cove Hospital, as an employee of a healthcare field, especially me being a black man, it's fucked up. It's fucked up. No matter what you do, no matter what you say, they purposely try to kill you while the white people, while the white nurses sit there and shop at Zappos at the nursing station. Patients screaming for pain medication. So I'll be there in a few minutes, man. A few minutes turns to an hour, and the patients ring their light again, screaming at me, say, "How can we didn't tell the nurse that shit?" I didn't tell the nurse that shit. I'm not here to shit on nurses, but the issue is on that podcast. If you guys want to join me on that podcast, is the importance of working together to make the world a better place, whether it's in the healthcare field, whether it's in the streets, whether it's in business, whether it's in, just recreational stuff. Just coming together and get the job done. It'll create a sense of happiness that we all seek, and we're not killing ourselves.
No.
Careful. Some Republicans might call that socialism.
I'll tell you about the Republicans and socialism. Well, fuck the Republicans. They allow oligarchy in the fucking government. Fuck them. You call this 4 years of Trump democracy? It's totalitarianism, oligarchy, anarchy, man. Come on, man.
Whoa. 45.
Bro,
45.
We tried democracy. It was called the Confederation, the Articles of Confederation. It didn't work, so then we turned it into the United States.
This motherfucker told motherfuckers, you ain't gonna impeach me for shit. Guess what happened? That's exactly what happened. You ain't impeaching for shit. All that pomp and circumstance, all the walking. Take away. I was watching Days of Our Lives every fucking day. I was watching Days of Our Lives at 12 noon. It had to stop. They cut into my damn Days of Our Lives episode to watch this motherfucker on the damn courtroom about impeachment and bullshit like that. Whatever you do, don't interrupt my Days of Our Lives at 12 noon to show Trump. That's what I'm saying, though. I want to see what happened with fucking Rafe and Hope and Princess G. I don't want to see talking about fucking Trump. God damn it. Shit. Let me watch my soap opera in peace, man. That's the only soap opera. That's the only soap opera on NBC, man. Let me watch it in peace without no interruptions, for God's sake.
Listen.
That's all I want this nigga out of. That's all I want this podcast out of office. He's
45 is walking around like Vince McMahon right now.
He walking around. He fucking
no chance. No chance.
He the fucking American gangster, man. John Lucas.
Nah, this nigga's walking around like Vince McMahon right now.
Listen. You block that shit. It's not alpaca. You block that shit. I want to apologize for the audience of TruPlayaz Podcast. Really got off a tangent on this episode. I guess
we need it.
I'm the
vet.
I'm expressing my frustration about having to go back to work tomorrow at Glen Cove Hospital. Anyway, I'm gonna sign off. It's JoeyG, Ricky Brown. We're gonna sign off on this podcast. We'll hit you guys with another episode. If you got a problem with my episode, you feel free to email me. TruPlayaz Podcast, TruPlayaz @gmail.com. If you have a problem with my podcast, I would love to hear your problem with my podcast, so I can just tell you go fuck yourself and suck a monkey's dick. If you want to listen to my podcast,
don't come from pa.
I got you. But if you want to listen to my podcast and listen to me trash my employer, feel free to not listen to my podcast and get me fired. Okay? Don't tell them what I said on my podcast. My podcast is my opinions, which is not on Glen Cove time, which is on my time, which is now 12:57 a.m. in the morning. Podcast is on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, IHeart Radio, Soundcloud, TuneIn Radio, and all other platforms. Just remember to subscribe. Please subscribe to the TruPlayaz Podcast. If you want to hear the truth about life, want to hear the truth about everything you want to hear. There's no sugarcoating on this fucking podcast. There's cursing, there's tangents, it's real shit. Everything that goes on in the world that we live in today, we speak on it. That's all I'm saying. If you don't like what I say, then I will give you the middle finger, but it doesn't matter anyway. I just subliminally gave you the middle finger by the words I just told you. So, on that note, any final words from you guys?
Good. Y'all know what it is.
Red fish, blue fish, one fish, two fish.
Give a dog a bone.
But no. All jokes aside, I want to thank all my listeners to the podcast. You know, all your supporters definitely loved, appreciated, and loved. I'm looking for female co-hosts for my child support part 2, and y'all females be fronting. Y'all talk mad shit on Facebook, but yet you're scared to come on a goddamn podcast for a child support. Why is that?
Let's go.
Let's get it.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? We gotta talk about this is
Domino, Alonzi.
This is some real shit that we need to talk about, especially in our community, about child support and the basis about why you should have someone on child support and not to do it in a sense of emotion.
Ahora, ¿sabes qué?
So definitely, that's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for you, one of you beautiful ladies, to have the courage to come on this TruPlayaz podcast. Yes, we females can be true players too.
Oh.
You can be a true player too, baby. Come on the podcast.
I think they just learned something.
I want to hear your thoughts about the child support part 2, about the podcast. What you want to bring to the table.
What you want to do.
You know, even if you're ugly, you come on the podcast. So it's open. It's for everyone. Ugly people, fat people, skinny people.
Bubba Sparks.
You know what I'm saying? People snort coke. You could be on the show too. We'll just make fun of you until you stop saying all the drugs, but you know.
Every 5 minutes. Hold on a second.
I'll be right back.
I'm back.
We are really going off on a tangent tonight, man. I'm telling you, this is great. This is Sunday night. This is actually Tuesday morning, actually. I don't know what day it is now because I'm so not into going to work at 3 p.m. to later today, but I digress.
So you got an extra day this month.
Mm-hmm.
Don't remind me. I'm so hyped for our Miami trip. You guys all set for Miami trip? I want you guys to be set and ready. I'm already set. We're gonna make this Miami trip the greatest trip ever. We're gonna do a podcast on the recap of our Miami trip. I promise you that. It'll be something that makes legends. But on a serious note, share everybody. Thank you for listening. We'll holler at you guys at another time, another podcast. Peace.
Shout out to my nigga Dom. TruPlayaz, let's go. This that true player shit. We gon' make it live with Big Dom. How they gon' knock TruPlayaz shit? We gon' take it farther than beyond. This that TruPlayaz shit. We gon' make it live with Big Dom. How they gon' knock TruPlayaz shit?